we are facing until we now start using YouTube. So let's just ouch. Let's just jump into what we have for today. So in yesterday's class, or day before yesterday's class, we talked about Figma, right? So today let's look at, and I believe we're able to try out some things like after the class, or you just close your laptop and dusted it.
I tried something.
Hmm?
I tried something now.
All right. So this is Figma, right? And this is new. If you want to create a design file, you click on the new design file. In your design file is where we do, the designs and prototypes that we have. So we can equally import files. Import files is when you want to import a file, a Figma file from your system. So let's click on new design file, right? So when we click on new design file, Figma opens up. You're supposed to share a link. We have you shared a Figjam link, right? Now, is it possible for you to equally share a Figma link now?
Figma.
Yeah. So Figma brought in this new feature called widgets. I was watching it yesterday. They brought in a new feature called widgets. Well, I feel like it's fine. It helps in collaborating as well. Okay, so maybe look at the icon. This is the widget icon here. So they added they added it to the new tools that we have here. So you might want to just check it out. So I think you can just drag things from the community and drop it here. And it's just insert something like that. Just it helps in collaborating. When collaboration is going, that's when you're working with like one or two, two or more designers on your platform. Widgets actually help you to collaborate. So some of those things that you might want to create, you already have something like this here, and you can just put in people's names and blah 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 blah, and just like that. So it just works like that, and it's actually very interactive. So that's what we get. We have widgets in Figjam now, if you remember, right? And we equally have widgets. We have widgets in Figma normally. But if you want to access widgets, you have to come to plugins. You have to now go and browse plugins. What happened? Something happened there. My plugins reduced. My plugins were bigger than this. Oh, Figma with their new changes. I didn't notice. I think I had more plugins bigger than this. But you have to come to plugins, then find more plugins. Then if you click on find more plugins, it will take you to the Figma community. You can search for plugins, you can search for files, you can search for widgets, right? Shortened it for you can share a Figma link with me, so we'll be on the same Figma link, so you can be doing the same thing I'm doing. So usually, like I think because of the widgets thing they brought out, they've changed it. Usually my plugins was I had like up to 50 plugins, but it just shows me the recent ones. Then if you come to install, then it can show you all the plugins you have installed, which the arrangement is fine, it's okay with me. So that's that. Like I told you in early times of this class, I told you like these Figma people, like they are always bringing out like new stuffs, and you just have to always get yourself updated with it. One of the updates that Figma brought out, that man, I just felt like, okay, that was mad, like that was extreme, was the auto layout thing. Now it was the same thing, but the time a lot of persons were still trying to understand how auto layout works, and they brought a new version of it and new placements. So if you were in the state of trying to understand how the previous one works, man, you just have to maybe you will not want to just restart your Figma, because you want to just fully understand before you now come to the new version. But if you had no idea of how the old one works, well, it's a good thing. Just start learning how the new auto layout thing works and where the elements were placed and you're good to go. But the truth about this is that constantly you just have to keep on, you know, updating yourself. So let's learn how this interface works. You understand, and which tools can be used to produce which, and then we'll now know how far we can go into this class. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to create the link? You've not been able to do that. All right, let's work with my own.
Wait,
Yeah?
check
You see?
your WhatsApp. I said,
Oh, wow.
it's not just copy the link.
Yeah,
Is
but you have to create the link under your Teams file, so you'll be able to give me edit access. You understand? Did you do that? Not to worry. Let's just continue what we have here. So now, the first tool I always like teaching people in Figma is this move tool. Now, just like the name implies, it's used in moving objects around, right? But I cannot move anything because I do not have an object, you know, on my file. Now, the next tool beside this move tool now is the frame tool. What are frames? Frames are like your boards where you develop your designs. Now, it's always very advisable that when you want to start a design, you start it with a frame. Now, some people make the mistakes of when they want to start a design, they just use the rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle and then they start designing. But it's usually a problem, especially when you're trying to prototype, because prototyping in Figma works strictly with frames. So you cannot prototype from object to object in Figma, but you can prototype from frame to frame. What is prototyping in Figma? Prototyping in Figma is just all about adding interactions to your work just to make it more relatable and active, you understand, with whoever is trying to operate it. So it's always advisable that for any time you want to create a work in Figma, always start with creating a frame. Now, if I click on this frame, right, the shortcut is F, and I always advise that as you're going through these tools, always watch out for the shortcuts and try to use them. It makes your work easier and faster. So the shortcut is F. So if I hit F on my keyboard, it will switch to the frame tool. If I hit V on my keyboard, it will switch to the move tool. You can see it. It will switch to the move tool. If I hit F again, it will switch to the frame tool. Now, look at this panel here. Now, before I go ahead to further explain Figma, I like you to know that Figma is equally structured into 4 different sections or 4 different panels. Now, let me quickly explain those panels so that you'll be able to arrange them, you know, as we are explaining them, because I'll be calling their names in subsequent classes. By my right hand side here, I like calling here design/prototype panel. Otherwise, you can call it the properties panel. Are you with me?
Please come back again.
Are you with me?
Yeah, please come again.
I said by my right hand side here. I like calling it the design/properties panel, or the design/prototype panel, or the properties panel. Why am I calling it design/prototype panel? Because here now, delete. Because here now, you can see something like design, you can see something like prototype. It simply means that if I want to do anything and it's design related, that's I'm trying to design my interface, I'm trying to design my frames and all of those, I have to be on this design section. But if I want to now come and start adding interactions, I have to switch to the prototype section, because the prototype section will now feed me with the tools that I can use to create this prototype. Do you understand?
Okay.
Now, that is why I call it design slash prototype panel, because that is what you're seeing. But why have I decided to give it this special name of properties panel? Because for any tool you select here, any of these tools you select here, do you understand? You will have a list of properties that can allow you edit or add special effects to whatever thing you're creating in this space. Are you with me? So for instance, now I have selected this frame tool, right? What is it showing me on the properties panel? It's showing me different templates of different phone sizes, desktop sizes, presentation sizes that I can create.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Those are properties of that tool, frame tool. Are you with me now? So now I am on this frame tool now, and I want to design a mobile app. All I just have to do is I need to come under phones. Now under this phone section now, I will see different phone size ranging from iPhone 13 Pro down to Android, right? So it's not left for me to choose which size I want. So since I am using an Android that has a large screen, I might click on Android. But usually, you can always pick anything. But why I like using this is because since I'm using an Android that has a large screen, and most times I always work with my phone, and I might mirror this design to my phone to see how it actually looks. So I would like to use this phone screen size. So when I mirror it to my phone, it's the same thing with my phone size, and I'm seeing it and it's working, and everything is properly placed the way they are supposed to place, as if it's programmed in real life. Do you understand? Are you with me now? So now you can click on desktop, right? So you probably have a desktop size. We have desktop for MacBooks, and we have desktop sizes for normal desktop. I like using MacBook here, so I have a mobile size and a MacBook size. Are you with me? Now I'm scrolling up. In a case where I want to use a custom shape, right? I come back to the frame tool. Follow me closely. In a state where I want to use a custom shape, I don't want to use any of these presets in my properties panel. Now, how do I go about that? I'll just click on this frame, just draw a random size. Now, the moment you draw a random size, I have to be on the design section. See, you can see that the properties here have changed. Do you understand? Why? Because a frame is now active. So it's now showing me the properties of that frame when it is active. Are you with me?
Okay.
Yes. So now the first property here is the alignment property. Then you can see a section called frame. Now in this section you will see something like W and H, where W means width, H means height. You see something like X and Y. This is the positioning. So if I adjust the X axis now, I am adjusting this frame on the X position. If I adjust the Y axis now, I'm adjusting this frame on the Y position. Are you with me?
Can we do an adjustment? Let me see how it.
So now I am dragging this X axis up. As you can see, it's moving on the X lane. Do you understand?
Okay.
If I adjust the Y axis now, it move up horizontal, or it can come down. It's vertical, not horizontal, vertical. Are you with me? Just like plotting your graph. So you should know that your frame is always at a particular position in your canvas. Are you with me? Now this area now is what I call your canvas or design space. Now this is an infinite space, meaning that you can zoom in and start designing, you can zoom out and design. As you can see, I have this frame here, I equally have this other frame here. I can decide to come somewhere else here and create another frame. Like, it's an infinite space. Anywhere you want, just start creating your frames and start designing. So that is how Figma works. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So it simply means that if I want to adjust this frame now, probably I want this frame to be 500 by 500. All I just have to do is I need to adjust the width and the height. Are you with me? which is normal, right? So if I put in 500 here, I'm just typing it in, and then 500 here, to automatically adjust this frame to 500 by 500 pixel size. Are you clarified on that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's proceed before we continue. So what did I just say? So let's proceed before we look at other stuffs. Now, I've been able to establish this properties bar to you, right? I've been able to explain how the properties bar or design slash prototype bar works, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Then I equally explained to you this space. I told you that this is your canvas slash
This
design
inspect,
space.
what's this inspect for?
Okay, this inspect is usually for developers, right? So for instance, now if I click on any frame now and I come to inspect, we usually work with developers. So developers can inspect this by, they can get full details of what is actually here. Any element that is placed here, they can actually see the CSS code, they can see the iOS code, you understand? They can see the Android code. So all they just have to do is they just have to copy this guy, and input it in what they are doing, just to get the exact positioning, the exact everything our frame is on. Do you
To bring it
understand?
to life.
Yeah, so they are not doing trial and error, trying to place our rectangle or trying to determine the size of our rectangle. Just copy it here and paste in your job. You understand? So that it looks exactly like we've designed it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what the inspector does. So now, let's move to the next two. And before I explain the next two for you, let me finish the other sections. I've already established one section, which is properties or design slash prototype panel. Now the next section I explained to you is the canvas slash design space, section, which is very self-explanatory. Now onto my left hand side. Now I call this your layer slash assets panel. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Layer slash assets panel. Now in Figma, whatever thing you're doing in Figma automatically adds it in a new layer for you. So for instance, if I pick an object now and I create an object in my canvas space, Figma creates a layer for that canvas. But now I have not picked an object. What I did was I developed frames. I created frames. So what is custom frame? Let's spell this custom well. Custom frame, right? Now so every single thing we are designing, every single thing we are doing, Figma places it in these layers. Now assets are like things like components that we work with. So in your design, you always see yourself working with assets like widgets, etc. Now Figma equally arranges those components in this assets section, so you can easily access them anytime you want to access them. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Now to further explain this layers panel and how it works, I'll explain the next two for you. By the way, this black section now where you're seeing this tool is called the tool panel or the tool section. In the tool section is where you see the tools that you're going to be working with in Figma majorly. So like I said, we have 4 sections: the tool panel, the layer slash assets panel, the canvas space, and the properties panel. 4 sections of Figma. So the moment you understand these sections and how it works, it's going to help you even when you're looking for any tool or any object or any effect or any instance and you are not too sure of where to find it. Because you already know the functionality of each of the panels, you know that okay, this thing I'm looking for has to be in this area or has to be coming from this area. So it will help you understand how to walk around Figma very smoothly. So that was why I had to section them like that for you, so you easily understand.
Can you please run me through this asset again? What you said the doing with asset.
Assets is where stuffs like components are being stored. So what do I mean? Like for instance, now this, let me look if I, this is a component, right? And you know, a component could be like an icon, a button, or whatever. So I just imported this component now. Are you seeing it? You've seen it under this asset file. Are you seeing it? So when you create a component, we're still going to look at what a component is, you know, how to work with components, you know, and the different variants of components. We're still going to look at that. But we're trying to get a hold on the Figma interface. When we understand how the interface works, then we can step it up. You know, so when we are stepping it up is when we look at how to create some of these components. But your assets are like things like your icons, your buttons, you know, your widgets that you work with. Are you with me? Now, but see, let me just call this to your attention now. If I come now and create a shape like this, you understand? And maybe let's assume that you want this shape to be a button. It does not come, it does not come, it does not come to your assets panel, because Figma is seeing this thing as just an ordinary shape, so it will keep it in your layers panel. Are you seeing it? You have to convert this to a component for Figma to consider it as an asset. Are you with me? Are you with
Confused.
me? But let's just leave it that way. Let's just leave it. Let's continue with the tools. Don't worry. Let's.
Well, will I still understand this?
Yes, you understand it. There's a special class for components and assets.
Okay.
That's why I didn't throw more light on that, because it might confuse you. So now let's continue. So the next tool here now is the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool. Now the rectangle tool, or not rectangle tool rather, the shape tool. Because when you click on this accordion icon, that's this arrow down icon, you know, it drops down different shapes that you can create. So the first shape here is a rectangle tool. Basically, we use this in creating rectangles. So I'm going to create like 4 rectangles here, different sizes and different forms. So probably the next one should be probably a square. So to draw a rectangle that is a square, just hold down your shift key and drag. So I'm holding down my shift key and I'm dragging. So one rectangle, it's a square. Now I drew these 4 rectangles. Probably I should change their colors, right? No, I don't need to change their colors. I will explain that differently. Now I drew these 4 rectangles because I wanted to show you something. Now this is MacBook Pro 14. That is the frame we're working on, which is a desktop size. Now as I was drawing these rectangles, what was Figma doing? Figma was drawing each of these rectangles in a separate layer, as you can see here. Are you seeing it? Now, not just that, it was because I was drawing it on top of MacBook Pro 14, and MacBook Pro 14 is a frame. Figma puts all these rectangles inside MacBook frame. So the moment I click on this eye icon, for every layer there's always a eye and a lock icon. So if you click on the eye icon here, it will off the layers, right? It will off everything. Do you understand? The eye icon is to off the visibility of a layer or on the visibility of a layer. So now if I click on that eye icon again, it will on it, because I'm telling you to show it this time around. So because all these rectangles are inside this frame, for any single thing I apply on the frame, it's going to affect every component inside the frame. Likewise, if I lock this frame now, when you lock a frame, you are telling Figma that every single thing that is on this frame should not be moved. So if I click on this with my move tool and try to move it, I will not be able to move it. Why? Figma has locked it to that position.
Yes.
So let me unlock. Now you can equally decide to lock a particular rectangle, meaning that that rectangle cannot be moved. You can equally decide to off a particular rectangle just like that. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So you now understand how Figma works with frame. But in a case where instead of you starting your design with a frame, you started it with a rectangle, this thing that
Mm.
Figma has arranged for you here, it will not arrange it like that. It will just keep on creating those rectangles in different layers. And if you just try to move
Okay.
everything, everything will just move. Nothing. For instance, now this is a frame, but I can just click outside and I'll select every single thing. But Figma is not selecting this frame because it's seeing this frame now as my artboard. But it's selecting every other rectangle. It's selecting every other object that is inside this frame. But if this was a rectangle now, let's just say, let me come with my rectangle tool. I always like emphasizing on this because people usually make this mistake. So I change this to white, and then I come here. You know I created it with rectangle, then I draw like different rectangle shapes, right? I draw like different rectangle shapes. Are you seeing it?
Okay, when you try to select just these two little rectangles,
Yes.
Figma selects everything.
Select every single thing because, and if I'm trying to move, it's moving this because this Figma is seeing this as a frame. Do you
It's
understand?
seeing this
Rectangle. This is a
this
rectangle.
big rectangle. The big
It's,
one.
yes, it's seeing it as a shape because it's a shape. I didn't start it off as a frame.
Mm.
So it's seeing it as an
Okay.
object, not as a frame. Do you understand? Even though I'm using it to create my artboard, so I'll be able to develop my designs on them. But because it's
Mm.
not a frame, Figma does not give it that property that comes with
You
frames.
see, even if you're using it to create your what?
Even if I'm using it to create my UI, these rectangles, I'm assuming these are my designs on this particular shape.
Okay.
You get the idea, you get the logic now.
Mm.
So I'll select every single thing and then I'll delete. So I just needed to explain to you so you understand how these layers work. Now,
Okay, but if
like,
it was in a frame and you want to select just the stuffs inside, it can just do that.
yes, like now this is in a frame, so I want to select only the stuffs inside. I just click and then I'll drag. You can see it's only the stuffs that are inside that is selected.
Mm. Okay. I understand.
All right,
I used to have that issue too.
all right, that's good. So let's take it a little bit up now. So now I've been able to establish the fact that okay, we can actually draw shapes. Now try, okay, I think you should know how to draw these shapes. So now let me click on this object. The moment any of these objects on this frame that you click on, you know, it's the information of this object updates in your properties bar by the right hand side. And like we defined the properties bar or the properties section, we said these are places where we can see further editing abilities that we can apply in an object, or maybe things that we can do, or you know, just once you want to just change or edit or do anything, just think of properties bar. So now what are the things we can do in properties bar? Let me explain. First of all, I've explained the width, height, x and y position. Now this is the alignment bar, meaning that you can align this to the left, center, right, upper top, middle top, and but down downside. Do you understand? Now, but for this alignment panel to be active, two objects has to be selected because you have to be aligning to two objects. Do you understand?
Okay.
So if I select this rectangle, which is this one, and this other one, if I
Mm.
want to select these two rectangles, all I have to do is I need to hold down Shift key on my keyboard, and then I'll click on this, and Figma selects the two of them only.
Okay.
Then the moment two objects are selected, two or more objects, it must not be only two objects, it can be two or more objects. So the moment you can see, I can now use any of these alignments that I want, Control Z, you know, anyhow I want it, Control Z. You see the way it's aligning everything, you see the way it's moving. Then this one's now, see the difference between these first three options and these other three. When I left align this thing, it took everything to the left and it aligned it to the left, right?
Yeah.
Control Z. When I come here now and I align this thing to the top, what it just did is just in that same position, but align everything to the top. You know, center and down. You get.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So now we've been able to explain from this panel to this panel. Now auto
Click
layout,
on this other arrow. What's here on this arrow?
this one, yes, I'll show you that shortly. So
Okay.
I've just understand this particular section that I've shown you. Now let me show you something else that it's important in this area, in this position area. This rectangle now, if you look at it, you see that it has sharp edges, right? Now what if I want this rectangle to have curved edges? How do I adjust that? If you take a look at here, you see what they call corner radius. When you click on your corner radius, you can adjust the corner variation of this shape. Do you understand? Now, not only that, let me take it back to 0. What if I don't want to adjust the 4 corners simultaneously? I want a corner to be a particular size, another corner to be another size, another corner to be another size. How do I do that? Make sure the object is selected, or make sure the shape is selected. You see this icon that is here, independent corners. Click on it. The moment you click on it, it brings out 4 position points. Those 4 position points represent the 4 corners of this shape, right? Then I can now put in different values. You know, maybe let me make this guy 100, so it will be very obvious. 100, you know, and then probably leave this other guy to 0, or maybe make this one 20. So you can adjust different size. So you can use it to create different kind of effects or different kind of shape, you know, depending on how creative you're trying to be. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So now, what of this other icon that is beside the thing, right?
Okay.
Good. So I'll take it back to 0. Now, let me explain the next two to you. So I'll drag this up. Maybe we'll use that. There was a design I did that I used shapes like this to do. I created patterns with it, just like this. It's been a while though. So now, the next two.
You say what?
No, let's look at the next. Let's look at the next.
What did you say?
No, don't worry. Let's look at the next two, or not the next two. Yeah, the next two, but under the shape too. So I can draw things like lines. I can draw things like arrows. I can draw things like circles. You understand that, right? So I want to draw a circle, right? And I want to duplicate this circle. I don't want to draw it again. I want to duplicate it. To duplicate in Figma, you can press Ctrl D. Where D is to duplicate, not the Alt key, Control key. The Control key, you hold down your Control key and press D. Where D is for duplicate. Or you can hold down your Alt key, right? The moment you hold down your Alt key, you see that the mouse has split into 2. And then you click and then you drag. Right? And then the moment you've clicked and drag, you can duplicate, like press Ctrl D, and Figma will retain the properties in terms of spacing of the items.
Yes.
Alright, so let me make this thing smaller, just like this. Zoom in so you see. Now normally the distance between each of these shapes are equal, right? So what do I want to do? I want to now make it randomly not equal. Just, do you understand? So this I just drew these shapes like this. But what if I've drawn these shapes like this for some reasons, but I want to just make all the distance between each shapes equal, but automatically I don't want to think about which space and then start adjusting manually? How do I do that? I'll select every single thing here. The moment you select every single thing, of course, you come back to this our alignment option, right? You see this icon that is here, you can click it. Now there is this option they call tidy up. Tidy up tries to make the distance between objects equal. So you just tidies up your work. It tries to make it look
Yeah, but
tidy.
this stage wasn't there before now.
What?
As at the time when I said you should click on that
That's what I'm saying. It
this
wasn't there. It wasn't there before. That was why I told you that I will explain it to you, because I needed to show you in cases where all those options are highlighted. That was why I was explaining step by
okay.
step. You understand? So that was why it wasn't there, because if I have two objects, if these two objects now are equal, you can see it's not that option is not highlighted. You're seeing it.
Okay.
So I needed to create a scenario where you make use of that feature.
Yeah.
So I'll select every
Okay.
single thing. So if I click on tidy up now and see, watch close, what happens. The moment I click on it, what happens? It shifted it so that all the spaces between the objects are equal. So it's now left for you to leave it like this, knowing that okay, the spaces are equal, or if I want, I can still align to the center to make sure everything is in line.
Okay.
Do you understand? Now, these other options are distribute vertical spacing, distribute horizontal spacing. Now, it simply means that if I don't want to use the tidy up feature, I just want only the vertical spacing to be equal, then I'll use the distribute vertical spacing. I only want the horizontal spacing to be equal, then I'll use horizontal spacing. Do you understand?
Okay.
Alright, so that's how that works. So now, the next feature that I'm going to show you under this properties bar is how to change colors of this image. Follow me closely. Now, to change colors of this object, click on any of these objects, right? In this same properties bar, you will see the fill section. Now, there's something I want you to notice about Figma. Figma arranged its interface in sections. Now, this is the alignment / positioning section. Now, this is the constraints section. Now, this is the layer section. Layer section is just where we try to blend in. Now, this is the fill section, stroke, effect, and export. So it's very, very self-explanatory if you understand it this way. You understand? So I've explained the alignment / position section. I'm jumping constraints, auto layout, and layer, and then we are down to fill. You understand?
Why are you jumping it now?
Because I have to create scenarios where I have to show you how they work. Do you understand? So now in the fill section now if I click on this color icon here, fill means that you can change colors. So if I click on the fill icon here now, it brings out this color panel for me where I can select any color. But see how this thing works. If you see here now, if you look at this box, it's only showing me red and variations of red. So inside this box, all I can just select is red or variations of red, and of course white and black. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it simply means if I want to get any other color, I have to adjust this handle here, right? And as you're adjusting, it is moving towards a particular color.
Yeah.
You get? So let's keep it at the popular color purple. So if I click on this purple now, you can see it has changed this color to purple. And of course, if I hover my mouse around it, it is changing to different variations of purple, right? Let's just say I like this color. I am okay. This icon that is here, or this handle that is here, what is the function? The function is used for reducing opacity. Now there are like 3 different methods for reducing opacity in Figma. I'll show you all of them, but they do basically the same thing, but except in cases where you're now doing like advanced effect, trying to create some backgrounds, do some graphical designs, then you might want to know the particular opacity setting that you're using. But for now, we are sticking to the basics. So for now, here we are adjusting the opacity. So for instance, if I click on this handle and I start bringing it down, you see the opacity of this purple starts going down. Opacity means that anything that is behind that object, I can see through it. When you say that something has an opacity level, it means that you can see through that object, right? So that is why Figma is reducing the opacity for me. So I can decide to pop it up at 100%, meaning that it's an opaque object. You can't see through it.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
What of this color now? What is the usefulness? Sorry, what of this option now? What is the usefulness of this option? This is called the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool is used for picking colors. Funny enough, you can click on it and you can pick any color. So far this object is selected, I can click anywhere in Figma and pick any color within this my workspace. Do you understand? So for instance,
Yeah.
this is purple, right? What will I pick? If I want to pick this white color, maybe I should not pick white color. Let me pick this gray color. So if I click on this gray color now, what happens? It changes this thing back to that gray color.
Yeah.
You get the idea?
Mhm.
Alright. So now let's assume that this color is red. So I'll click on this color, change it to different colors, right? Click on this other one, change it to different colors. Let's try blue. Change to blue. Click on this color, let's try another color. Maybe brown. Let's try brown. Yeah, so I've been able to change colors, and I think you should be able to change your own colors now. Okay, now there is a feature that Figma has, and that feature is color documentation. Now we are going to look at this feature when we are trying to create our layer styles or our style guide. Style guide is a form of, it's like your design system. As a designer working in Figma, you need to be able to know how to create design systems. Design systems enable you maintain continuity across your work, especially when you're collaborating with other designers. So you need to create your color systems, you need to create your button systems, you need to create your typography system, you need to create your component systems, and so on. So anything that we're working on in that object, we just pick it up from that system. Are you with me? So for instance, if I'm working with you on a project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create systems that we're going to use in developing this file. So we're going to create color systems, typography system. So it simply means that if you're working on that file, you don't need to come and be thinking on what's the name of the font we're using, what's the size. I've already created it in the system, it's already documented, right? You don't need to be bothering yourself, okay, what's the color we're using, which color variations, is there opacity, is there gradient? You don't need to bother yourself. I've already created, it's already documented in the system. So all you just need, if you in this particular area you want to use a gradient color, you understand, you just go to the system, pick the gradient color, put it there, and you're done. Right?
What's gradient color?
I'll show you what it is shortly. So now let me just first of all show you how you can document these colors. Right? Now, to document a color, you see this plus icon now. We have a plus icon and we have a minus icon under this fill section. When I click on the minus icon, I am telling Figma to remove this color. So if I click on this minus color, it has removed the color of that thing, meaning that it does not have a fill. But the object is still there. The object is still there. Just that the object does not have a fill. Ctrl Z to undo. When I click on this eye icon, you already know what it can do. It will just off the visibility of this color. Right? If I on it, it will show it again.
Yeah.
Now, I already showed you the first way of reducing opacity, and I told you there are like 3 different ways of reducing opacity. When you see this 100% that is behind this color, it's equally can be used to reduce the opacity of an object, or a color. So if I reduce this opacity to probably like 20, you will see it has reduced the opacity of this color to 20.
Yeah.
So that's the second way you can use to adjust opacity of a color. So I'll take it back to 100. Now, I've shown you what this minus sign does. What does this plus sign do? If you click on this plus sign now, it's going to add a color here. You can see it's adding a color on top of this. Did you see what happened? Okay. So that color now happens to be darker. Maybe I can make it darker. And maybe this color now I can even increase the opacity. As you're increasing the opacity, to be affecting the tone of this particular color on top. Now see, this color down here is purple. So if I up this guy now, this is the original color. But I added, black. And that black now is at 60% opacity. So meaning that it is still showing that purple, but it's showing me a darker tone of purple. Are you with me?
So it's like a mixture of the black and the purple.
Exactly. It's like a mixture.
So is it like black is like the default color when you add the plus sign, when you do that plus
No,
sign?
you can always click here, and of course you can change to anything. As you're changing it, is adjusting the color tone. It's just mixing the two colors and it's adjusting it for you. You get the
Yeah,
idea?
okay, that's what I said. Like the black is like the default color there,
Okay,
then
yeah,
you can
black is
actually
like the
change it.
default, yes. Then you can actually change. You get, but I think once you add it like this now, and then probably leave it, and then you open your Figma file, and then you try to do the same thing. Figma has a way of remembering the last option you used, so it will use the last option. So like now that this thing is the last option, if I close my Figma and come back, I think Figma will be able to remember that this was the last option I used in that area. You get?
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
Figma has a way of remembering the last option. So if this is the last thing I set, like this color now, if I go and I try to apply it on somewhere else, maybe let's try and apply on this guy now. Okay, see give me black, so I think black is default. So black is the default. You understand that now? So now let's say I am satisfied with this color tone now. This color tone that we've created. I want to document this color. That was why I needed it to create a file, so you will see how this works. But let's continue. So
You want me to create a file? Let's do that now.
I don't worry, no, let's continue. Time is fast running. I'll just share this file with you later on. Now you see this icon, this 4-dotted icon that is around this fill section. Other stuff. Your color documentation. And by you doing your color documentation, you are creating your color system. So when I come here and I click on this plus sign, if for instance this is the primary color that we are working with, or probably the company's brand color that we are working with, we can name it. All I just need to write here is probably, ouch.
Hello?
Can you hear me? I made a mistake, so let me just subtract out. Control Z. I made a mistake, so
The video is the recording is on, Abby.
yeah, the recording is on. Yeah. Well, I hope so. Yeah, it is. So when I click on this star icon, right, and then I click on this plus, I made a mistake by adding this here, so I'll just delete it. So it's empty. So when I click on this plus icon here, it brings out this. Then I can just put the name I want. If this is a primary color or the main company's color, I could just name it primary color. Usually I don't like naming it purple color because I could have other purple color that are not just the main primary color. So I usually like naming it like this. So any designer working here knows that okay, this is the primary color, meaning that this is the main color that we are working with. You understand? So the moment I hit on create styles, Figma automatically documents this thing for me. So you can see here now in my view section, the only thing I'm seeing now, I'm no longer seeing that color box. I'm only seeing primary color. So I can create and document as many colors as possible. So the moment I do that, sorry, hold on. The moment I do that, anybody calling me, Jesus Christ, what did I say? I said the moment I do that, anybody. The moment my phone is actually ringing, that was like, but I don't want to pick the call. So the moment I do that, anybody that is on this file with me, you understand? Anybody that is on this file with me now will have access to this primary color. You see it's created just like this. So now let me zoom out. So if I click here now, what are you seeing? In my color styles, you're seeing primary color. I'm clicking outside the frame. If you have as many colors documented here with the names, the way you've named them, it's showing here. So all I have to do, if I want to change all these other guys, this circle now, to primary colors, all I just need to do is click on it come to this style guide, click on this guy. So I'm not checking the color tone or anything. I'm not doing a rough work. It will make it that same color. Click on it, come to this guy.
Very easy.
Yeah, very, very easy. Come to this guy. Do you understand?
Okay.
Well, let's step it up a little now. Let's stick it up a little. So to do that, I will select these guys and I'll make it smaller so that we'll be coming up with fine design. So this will be my navigation buttons. Let's make it smaller, somewhere around there. Now you asked me a question. You said, how can we create a gradient? Let me quickly show you how to do that. So I'll make this big. Probably will create a landing page by the time we are done. This guy, I'll make it small, just small. You're going to work as a logo, but we'll keep you there. Now this is what we have. Now we want to have a gradient on this red. We don't want it to be like plain red, just like this, right? Now to do that, you come to this fill, right? Okay, what if, okay, yeah, you come to this fill. Of course, if you come to this fill now, it's super easy. If you come to this fill now, of course, you can equally see my documented colors. You know, you can show these are different themes I'm working with. So you can go, I can import any color from any of these theme file. You know, that's how Figma works. But what we want to do is that we want to make gradients out of this shape. You see this particular place that it's written solid. Yes, that is where we are going to adjust. So if I click on this guy, you see linear, radial, angular, diamond, or image. From linear down to diamond are different gradient styles that you can apply on an object. Are you with me? From linear to diamond are different gradient styles. What do I mean? If I click on linear, it means that it's going to apply the gradient in a linear direction. Radial, in a radial direction. Radial means circle. Angular is going to apply it in an angular direction, while diamond is going to apply it in a diamond direction. But let's try them and then see. If I click on linear, you see it applied it in a linear direction, moving from red to white.
Okay.
Now the secret of applying nice smooth gradients in your work is make sure that this, you see these note points now. Let me call them note points. You see these points?
Yeah.
Make sure that they are far off each other, just like this, so that there will be a smooth blending. Did you notice the smooth blending that this thing had now? Unlike when it was like this and like this. Did you notice the difference? Did you notice the difference?
Yeah.
So that's just a pro tip in trying to create your gradients. Just space it like this so that somehow it works. Trust me, it works. So now what we have here is red to white, right? Now what if I want to change this color from white to a darker shade of red? I don't want it to be white, but a darker shade of red. Now these are the handles that I can adjust. This handle here shows that this is the red part of this gradient. This other guy shows that, okay, this is the white part of this gradient, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it and then I'll bring it down to dark, probably somewhere around here. Are you with me? But why is it looking like this? Why is it seeing more of white? Because the opacity of this particular handle is at 0. So now if I click on this handle to increase,
I don't care. My head is going to bust.
Don't worry. Let's just continue. You understand it. If I click on this handle now and I'm just bringing it up, you see it will start bringing out that dark part, that dark part, that dark part, that dark part. You can see. So the reason why it was showing us white was because the opacity was at 0. And you know, when you reduce the opacity of something, you're telling it that it should see through you can see through it. And what is our background here is white, so it was seeing through it, so it was showing us white.
Yes.
You get the idea? So we've increased it, so now you can now see that, okay, in this place we have two colors, red, from red to a darker shade of red. Maybe let me use something, you know, different from red, so you see. So I'm choosing purple now. Let me make it dark purple. So let me use blue, so you see. So I'm moving from red to blue now. This is more obvious. Are you with me?
Okay.
But let's leave this one here now. Of course, you can try radial, so it will just try to make it like this. Angular tries to make it like this. This is an angle, showing you an angle somewhere around there. Diamond just tries to give you this diamond feel at the center. Then images, if I want to put an image into this shape, and if I click on image, of course it will open up the system, and I can import an image, like choose an image, click on choose image, I can fill this place with an image, right? But let's take it back to linear. So let's take it back to this. I want to explain one more thing to you. Now, you see these handles now is at angle 90. This is like from up to down. Let me use from up to down so we don't complicate it. It's from up to down here, right? Now, if I move this guy, you can see I can move the handles from this position to this position. Do you understand? You can equally leave it like this. You can leave it so you can adjust the position or the way the gradients will be applied in the work. So let me close this option. Do you understand this? So basically, we can say that we have a landing page because I can just bring in an image. Don't worry, no, let me just bring in an image so we just have something by the end of the class. Man, where are all my images? Okay, which website will give me an image now? Which plugin should I use to get an Unsplash? Let's look for images from Unsplash. So I'll just get yeah, I know, but just run it. You need to tell me. Oh, I like using black people, but let me use that lead. So it's just going to import and it's going to paste it. Ouch. Control Z, please. So I need to click outside the object, then I'll click on it again to import. Yeah, so I want to show you something else. So we have an image. I think after this one now, I can allow your brain to rest. So I have an image just like this. I'm showing you how to do nice design. So I'll delete these guys for now. Then this guy now, I'll bring it up. I have this image, right? Are you with me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Alright. So now I have an image on this platform, right? You can see this image, right? Yeah, you
Where did
see?
you get it? Okay, so you got it from Unsplash.
Yeah, I got it from Unsplash. You understand? Now on this image now, I want to do one simple thing. I want to blend this image into this gradient that I've created. Are you with me? Follow me closely. Now, you see this option, this layer option on top of these few segments, right?
Okay.
We can use it to do what I call layer to layer blending. So I can blend a layer into another layer using that option in graphics design, or when you're learning Photoshop, Illustrator, it's called blend modes. So let me just borrow that word and bring it here. Blend modes. Now when you click on it, These are different blend modes that you can apply. It's the same thing in Photoshop. These are different blend modes that you can apply. But let me quickly explain how it works. You see, if you take a look at this thing, you see that there are lines that separate them. Now, those lines
Yeah.
will help you understand which option to use easily. Now, from this option, this is pastoral and normal. Normal is just like this it is now. Now, darken, this all these three options here will make the picture blend darker. So if it's in
Okay.
graphics design now, they will start teaching you something like in every image there is always three components that makes up that image: shadows,
Mm.
highlights, and midtones. Where shadows is the darker part of that image, highlights is the 50%, no, highlights is the brightest part of that image, midtones is 50% black, 50% white. That is always what
Okay.
makes up an image. So with that knowledge now, that is how these blend modes are built. So this darken part brings out the shadows of an image. That's the darker part of an image. This lighting part, these three options now, it brings out the brightest part of an image. That's the highlights. Do you understand? This
Yeah.
overlay and these other three options now brings out 50% black, 50% white.
One.
Do you understand? So I want to try this overlay because I want it to just have 50% black, 50%. I don't want black to be bigger, white to be, or white to be bigger. Do you understand? So I'll try this. Then difference just brings out the gray part of an image, the difference and exclusion. Why hue, saturation, color, and luminosity? They try to mess around with the colors, like saturate colors here and there. You see what happens here? It blends this image in easily.
Okay.
So I could just probably have this, you know, and then I could use my text to and write bold and, you know, beautiful. Then probably increase my text to, don't worry, I will explain this when we are talking about text to probably something big. Then make it this. So you can see we are having a nice of design here. Then I can have a shape here, you know. Then I can make this shape yellow because yellow works with red. Yellow, adjust the tone of the
So
yellow.
you already know color combination. So I'm going to learn color combination too.
Yeah, we have a class that is called color theory, understanding color theory. Not color theory, sorry, color psychology rather. So I could have something like apply now or something, right? And then bring this apply now here. So I'll make that black, and then I'll reduce the size to probably 32. So this goes to this, then I'll come back here, align them so it works up. So we have a very fine hero page here, you know, super simple, but we'll just mess around with some of this. Do you understand? So is design hard? Have you seen that design is not hard to do? Have you seen it? So
Yeah, I can see you're making it simple now. If I start my own now, that's good.
the main thing I need you to understand is I just need you to understand the flow. Now I think how Figma is structured in such a way that every single thing is related to each other, and once you understand like the sections and the structures of the interface, you'll be able to build out like anything because you already know that okay, if I'm looking for this option, it has to be somewhere around here based on how this area is structured, and from there you can just, you know, walk around any single thing you want to do. So I think we are just going to end here so I don't saturate you with informations. So and
What? No,
eh,
no, 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 no. I'm
you,
not complaining. No,
you see, Ava, you
no,
don't
no,
want
no. I wanted to ask
you wanted to do
you,
what?
can you everything you do on a Photoshop?
Can you do what?
Can you do them on everything you do? Everything one can do on Photoshop. Like whoever is designing stuff using Photoshop, can you
Yeah.
do them here on Figma?
Yes, yes, you can. You can. You just need to be very good in Figma, like very, very good in Figma. But basically, you can. The only thing I think you can't just do in Figma yet is there are some advanced effects, like But I think there are plugins that are coming up to help do that. But I think photo editing, like the photo retouching technique in Photoshop, right? You'll still not be able to do some of those stuffs in Figma, you know. And then photo manipulation, you might not just be able to do some of those stuff, but the general normal design part, like the graphic design part of Photoshop, you can do it in
Mm,
Figma. Once you are very good in Figma, you can actually do. There are people that do
do it in
create, yeah. There are people that create cartoons in Figma. There are people that create cartoon animations in Figma. So it's just for you to
yeah.
be good with it. Once you understand how it works, you can literally create anything you can think of. There was a time I created a video, a DSTV video in Figma. Very funny. But basically, all I just did was I designed the interface, the DSTV interface
Mm,
in Figma. Then I prototyped it just the same way DSTV works. Like, it loads after some seconds. As it's loading, the numbers are changing. Then it comes into a particular screen. That's DSTV guide. Then you can change to your channel. So I created those different screens. You understand? Then I prototyped them, and then I now did a screen record of it as I was playing it. Do you understand? And it was like a DSTV video. Somebody thought it was like an actual DSTV. He was now asking me, okay, how did I capture it? Like, because it was not looking as if it was from a phone. You understand? So once you can think about it, you just need to break it down step by step, and you see yourself creating it.
we are going to do that. Let me try to go write it down so I will not forget.
Oh my god. So I think we should end here so I don't saturate you with information.
I'm not complaining now. Which one is so you will not saturate me?
No,
Let's say I'm complaining.
no, and you need to equally check time.
And again, we didn't even the those materials you sent to me. We didn't talk about.
The materials I sent to you.
Mm,
We talked about it in the early time, in the early period of the class, and you
just
said
the
eh?
just that one. The second one you didn't talk about
The
the
second
second
one,
one.
the second one, you're supposed to read it now before we talk about it. That's why we didn't talk about it now.
Eh,
You're supposed to read it before we talk about it. Yes, now, because if you read it now,
yeah.
the idea, those materials I sent to you, is not because the idea. I'll be saying as time goes on, I'll be sending you some resource links that I'm expecting you to read. And the reason why you need to read, I want you to read them because if you read them, it will help you understand what we're doing in class. Like now, if you check this design that we did now, this design is super simple, right?
And
So,
it's fine.
so yes, we are following those design. The reason why this thing is simple and why it didn't take me anything to do is because that particular resource link I sent to you, I already know it. So at the back of my mind, every single thing I was doing, I was just trying to follow that thing. I was trying to think about it. So you yourself, you need to know them. So if you're doing your designs, you're thinking. And because you're thinking about it, it's guiding you. Your designs are just coming out neat and fine. So you'll not be wasting time doing something that will take you long time to do, and at the same time, on top of the time it has taken you to do it, you didn't do something nice because you were not thinking in the right direction. You get. So if you do it, then you're discussing it with me. I'll be sure that okay, you've read it or you have an idea, where my thoughts are coming from, the things that are guiding my decisions when I am doing my design. Get. So that's why you have to read before we discuss it.
This apply now. Did you put this box
Yeah,
before
yeah,
you put in the
yeah.
apply now? Did you put any spacing? Did you put like a calculated spacing
Yeah, I just
between
what
the?
What you know, I've not shown you auto layout. So what I just did was I just centralized. I just used the option I've shown you. So I selected every single thing, then aligned to the center, and aligned this other one to the center. So it's centralized. So everything is equal because of the alignments I did.
Speaking of the box and this and the this, I wish I can see my hand. The bigger box
This
now.
bigger box, yes.
No, not this one.
Which one?
The
This one.
bigger box itself.
This one.
Yes.
Uh,
Now the spacing, yes, the spacing between it and this other smaller rectangle.
okay. That one
Did
now,
you
eh?
plan it
No, okay, no,
or
that
just
one,
paste it?
we call that one design eye. So the truth is, okay, it's a very good question that you asked, but we call it design eye. So your design eye actually develops as you design a lot of things. So the thing is, I didn't actually time anything, but because my design eye is a little bit developed, I actually know the right place to place it. Do you understand? So as you're designing, it's just going to develop within time. Trust me, it's just going to develop. But Figma has a way. I think Figma has a way of, like, if I'm trying to adjust, okay, it's there's Figma has a way of trying to place things for you, like tell you that okay, this is where you're supposed to place this for it to be aligned. But you have to have auto layout, and you have to have your grid system active on the frame. So you're using grid to now measure it out. Do you understand? So probably in the next class I'll show you how grid system works. You get. But this is just the design eye that just did that. So but design eye develops as you're doing your designs and your designs are getting better, your eye will be getting better, like your eye will be opening to some little things that makes your design fine just naturally. You get. Yeah.
What's this auto layout here?
What's this?
The design so
You say what's this what?
yeah, this left right hand side.
Yeah.
Think, no more showing again. I saw auto layout.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, see, let me make it active. When I'm on the frame, it's active. So these auto layouts, right? Like auto layouts allows you to create responsive frames or responsive interfaces. So for instance, watch. We're supposed to do this in next class. Huh? When I,
Oh, okay, we're supposed to do in next class.
yes, because it's a little bit complex. If I start explaining it now, I just
Yeah.
so let's just do it in the next class.
Okay, in the next class we talk about constraints.
Yeah, constraints. When you're talking about constraints, it works the same. We'll have to talk about constraints first, then we'll talk about auto layouts. After talking about constraints, you understand? Then from auto layouts, we'll now enter components. You understand? It's in component that we're going to stay for a while. You understand? Because from components we talk about variants. From variants we talk about interactive components. By the time we are done, we already have an idea on how to design interfaces. From there, we enter prototyping. Then we'll come back to research.
You know, there's something you didn't make when you were talking about the toolbar. There's the toolbar.
The toolbar. I've not finished the toolbar. Yeah.
Okay, I've not finished.
We are just here. We're just in the shape. So next class, as I'm saying these things now, you know, anyone I click here, I come here and I explain some things to you here.
Yeah,
So that's how
exactly.
it will be flowing.
Oh,
All right. So we'll end here for today. Then we'll continue the next class.
yeah, please send me the link for this video just again. Please,